Ookie dokie, bring bling boom, dim dim dum dum. This is chapter 9 of Iki Yaka Yukuru of the Book of Luke. Chapter 9. He summoned the 12 and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases, and he sent them to proclaim the kingdom of God, to heal the sick. He said to them, "Take nothing for the journey, neither walking stick, nor sack, nor food, nor money, and let no one take a second tunic. Whatever house you enter, stay there and leave from there. And as for those who do not welcome you, when you leave that town, shake the dust from your feet in testimony against them." Then they set forth and went from village to village, proclaiming the good news and curing diseases everywhere. Herod the Tetrarch heard about all that had been happening and was greatly perplexed. Some were saying John has been raised from the dead. Others were saying Elijah has appeared. Still others, one of the ancient prophets has arisen. But Herod said, "Well, John I beheaded." Herod said, "John I beheaded. Then who is this I hear such things?" And they kept trying to see him. When the apostles returned, they explained to him what they had done. He took them and withdrew them to a town called Bethsaida. The crowds meanwhile heard of this and followed him. He received them and spoke of them about the kingdom of God and healed those who needed to be cured. As the day was drawing too close, the 12 approached him and said, "Dismiss the crowd so that they can do blah blah blah." The crowds meanwhile learned of this and followed him. They received him and spoke to them about the kingdom, and he healed those who needed to be cured. As the day was drawing to a close, the 12 approached him and said, "Dismiss the crowd so that they can go to the surrounding villages and farms to find lodging and provisions, for we are in a deserted place here." He said to them, Give them food yourselves." They replied, "5 loaves and 2 fishes is all we have, unless we ourselves go and buy the food for all these people." Now the men there numbered about 5,000, and he said to his disciples, "Have them sit down in groups of about 50." They did so and made them all sit down. Then taking the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven and said the blessing over them, broke them, gave them to the disciples, and set before the crowd. There he ate and were satisfied. And when the leftover fragments were picked up, they filled the 12 wicker baskets. Once when Jesus was praying in solitude and the disciples were with him, he asked them, "Who do the crowds say I am?" Then he said in reply, "John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others one of the ancient prophets have arisen." Then he said to them, "But who do you say I am?" Jesus said in reply, "The Messiah, O God." He rebuked them and told them not to tell this to anyone. He said, "The Son of Man must suffer greatly and will be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, the scribes, and be killed, and on the 3rd day be raised." Then he said to all, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up the cross daily and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. What profit is there to gain from the whole world, yet gain the whole world, yet forfeit himself? Whomever is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man will be ashamed of when he comes in his glory and in the glory of the Father and of the holy angels. Truly I say unto you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God." About 8 days after he said this, he took Peter, John, and James and went up to the mountain to pray. While he was praying, his face changed in appearance, and his clothing became dazzling white. What? Oh. While he was changing, his face changed in appearance, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were conversing with him, Moses and Elijah. They appeared in glory and spoke of his exodus that he was going to accomplish in Jerusalem. Peter and his companions had been overcome by sleep, but become fully awake. They saw his glory and the two men standing with him. As they were about to part from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make these tents. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. But he did not know what he was saying. But he did not know what he was saying. While he was still speaking, a cloud came and cast a shadow over them, and they became frightened when they entered the cloud. From the cloud came a voice that said, This is my chosen son, listen to him. After the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. They fell silent and did not at that time tell anyone what they had seen. On the next day, when they came down from the mountain, a large crowd met him. There was only a man in the crowd who cried out, Teacher, I beg you, look at my son, he is my only child. For a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly screams, and it convulses him until it foams at the mouth. It releases him only with difficulty wearing him out. I begged the disciples to cast it out, but they could not. Jesus said in reply, O faithless and perverse generation, how long will I be here? How long will I be with you and endure you? Bring your son here. As he was coming forward, the demon threw him on the ground in convulsion, but Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, healed the boy, and returned him to his father. And all were astonished by the majesty of God, while they were all amazed at every deed, and said to his disciples, Pay attention to what I'm telling you. The Son of Man is to be handed over to men. But they did not understand this saying. Its meaning was hidden from them, so that they could not understand it, and they were afraid to ask him about the saying. An argument arose among the disciples about which of them was the greatest. Jesus realized the intention of their hearts and took a child and placed it by his side. He said to them, Whoever receives this child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. For the one who is least among you is the one who is the greatest. Then John said in reply, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow our company. Jesus said to him, Do not prevent him, for whoever is not against you is for you. Then when the days of his being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers ahead of him. On the way, he entered a Samaritan village to prepare for the reception there. But he would not be welcomed because the destination of his journey was Jerusalem. For when the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call down fire in heaven to consume them? What? Samaritan village? Look, that's a totally different. That was never mentioned in the other ones. Huh. Okay. Fire and consumed them. Jesus turned and rebuked them. They journeyed to another village. As they were proceeding on their journey, someone said to them, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus said to them, Foxes have dens, birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. And to another he said, Follow me, but replied, Lord, let me go first and bury my father. But he answered him, Let the dead bury the dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Another said, I'll follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to my family at home. To him Jesus said, No one who sets a hand to the plow and looks to what was left behind is fit for the kingdom of God. Okay, so interesting. We are now going to chapter 10. Thank you for watching our show. Have yourselves a lovely evening. This is right underneath the 10-minute mark.